I mean, wrestling can be intimidating, but I think you should just try it. Here at Underdog, the coaches are very understanding, especially if you're new.
Very knowledgeable, very hands-on.
My name is Chris Samboy. I've been wrestling since I was a sophomore in high school, so that was 2010. And I'm a wrestling coach here at Underdog Mixed Martial Arts.
My name is Kia Galapur. I've been wrestling since about 2003, so it's roughly 16 years. I'm one of the wrestling coaches at Underdog MMA. I've been a member here since about 2012.
Hi, I'm Josh Kaplan. I've been wrestling for over 2 decades, and I'm a wrestling coach here at Underdog Mixed Martial Arts.
So the wrestling program here has a bit of everything. We teach a lot of stand-up, we teach a lot of mat wrestling, we teach a lot of riding out, so it applies to MMA as well as jiu-jitsu as well as wrestling overall. We split the program up in a good way. We have adults that run from Tuesday and Thursday,
which is pretty unique. Most places you go to wrestle, you can wrestle as a high schooler or a college kid, but once you graduate from college, there really are no options.
And then we have high schoolers specifically who can come Tuesday and Thursday, but also come Friday and Saturday. So with the adult program, we predominantly focus on a lot of takedown and takedown defense, mainly because a lot of these people are jiu-jitsu practitioners or fighters, and they want to focus on the self-defense aspect rather than anything more than scholastic wrestling.
So much more than just takedowns. If you see a lot of the up-and-coming elite fighters in the UFC, you look at Ben Askren, you look at Daniel Cormier, Khabib, all those guys are taking principles of folk-style wrestling, specifically not only just takedowns, but top and bottom wrestling, and applying that.
A typical wrestling class, we normally warm up, and then after, quick warming up, we go right into drills. Everything is repetition, repetition, heavy, heavy, heavy. We're going over the same thing, making sure that we're doing every move right, every move precise.
Now with the youth program and high schoolers, we work on everything. We go from takedowns to mat wrestling to conditioning and everything in between.
I like Underdog because there's a lot of really experienced people here, so I get to learn a lot of new things, and there's also different fighting styles. The wrestling program at Underdog is it's a really relaxed environment while still being difficult. You still get the conditioning in, you still get the training in, you still get the work you need.
It's definitely a welcoming and awesome environment.
I started wrestling in 2003 at Farmington High School. I've been very active in many different clubs across the state. After high school was finished, I wrestled at Elijah Williams University, where I interchanged weights from 197 and heavyweight. Saw decent success at both, and I've been very active in terms of competing, teaching, and working with any high school student I've run across, especially back at Farmington High School, and especially at Underdog MMA.
So, my experience in the sport is, so I started my sophomore year in a really small school, but nonetheless, I did pretty well for myself. My junior year, I was a state champion, and I dedicate that mostly to just my off-season wrestling. And then going forward, after I graduated, going into coaching a couple years after, I just try to kind of instill that same mindset into all the kids.
So, what we bring to the table in a lot of different ways is a very diverse coaching staff. All of us have competed, placed in states, competed in MMA, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, belted in all these different types of martial arts, and we bring to the table a lot of different types of styles, takedown heavy, ride out heavy, and everything in between.
Before Underdog, I had zero amount of wrestling experience. I never got to wrestle in high school or collegiately or any other level. So since coming here, this was kind of a new thing for me because I've never really done it, but as time's been going on, I've been getting better and getting better, and I mean, it's helped me out a lot in other areas, especially in my my BJJ.
My wrestling has helped me not just with takedowns. So a lot of times jiu-jitsu players think that, oh, I'll go to wrestling just to learn takedowns, but in reality it helps with pressure. It helps me pass the guard, it helps me retain someone's back, and overall just having that ferocity on the mats. Jiu-jitsu, for the most part, tends to be lax at moments, and wrestling instills in you kind of that go, 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 go mentality, and it's really, really helped me.
Every fight, every wrestling match, every Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu match starts on the feet. So wrestling gives you a huge advantage if you want to compete in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu with your takedowns and your takedown defense. It also gives you a lot of elements of really good top control.
My wrestling's improved here just by giving me new things to try out in an environment where I'm not afraid to try them. Now that I've been able to experiment with other ways of wrestling, I've really expanded my arsenal of moves.
Wrestling's a great individual sport, requires a lot of mental toughness. I love the drive and the intensity of practice and training.
It trains you both mentally and physically. It's definitely one of the hardest things I do in my life. It just makes every other aspect of life easier, basically. I like wrestling because even after like a hard day at school or work or something, I can go and just focus on one thing, and I can really just focus on working hard and beating my opponent. And it's also taught me a lot of discipline, whether it's cutting weight or just fighting through something.
What's not to love? I don't know. There's just so much that I've gotten from the sport. And some people say it's a microcosm of life, but I honestly look at it the other way. I look at it the inverse way. I think life is a macrocosm of wrestling. I think about it like how I set up my takedowns or anything like that. It's just I'm obsessed. I love the sport and everything that it's done for me.